6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December 20th.
There's a mistake that needs to be corrected. It's right at the top. It's not Wednesday, December 20th. It is Tuesday, December 20th. We'll make that change.
You want to ask about the?
Yeah, Ned, I just have a question about number 6. I just want to double check those numbers. That we have a budget of 4.6 million and we have revenue of 5.0.
I will check them, yes, but I believe they are true.
Yeah, I took those from the budget committee.
Okay,
I just,
Me.
yeah, I just checked the minute this afternoon to match, and the minutes from the budget committee are correct, so as long as Roger is matching up both of the minutes, that should be correct.
okay.
Let me double check, here. I wrote it down.
So I put a motion in to accept the minutes with the correction of the date.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Yep.
All right, next thing is approval of the 2023 warrant for the general fund, water and sewer.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize in advance for this. I was trying to rush the process. I've spoken to several people about this today. I was trying to rush the process. The budget warrants are for the budget committee.
Yeah.
I apologize, I was using the Vermont
Too early.
system,
Yeah,
and this is too early. They have not had their hearing, which is January 11th and 12th.
12th is a public
Yeah.
hearing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
Okay,
It was screwball attempt to rush things that did not need to be rushed.
okay, so the next thing on here is you have the review of the petition warrant articles. Do you have copies of that?
Yes, they are in back. Let me grab those.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, they are actually, they're here. I did not distribute them because again, those are budget committee items. So
All right,
if people would like copies, I'm happy to give the copies to them.
so the petition articles are basically the same ones that we usually have from the nonprofits, and the one about the windmill, is there another one?
There's
I mean,
the solar,
solar rather.
there's another one, the solar one. There's another one supposedly coming in. I haven't seen it yet.
On,
They didn't say what, they said they were putting together. Thing. There will be another one on an update to the veterans tax exemption that will be, it's based on state law from House Bill 1667 from last year. It
okay,
needs to include all or various types of veterans. We have the ones from the nonprofits, the ones for water and sewer. The newest one from this year is a new one from Advanced Transit that was not issued last year.
No, they just didn't get it in time.
Yeah.
But they usually do submit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they have one submitted on time this time.
And that's the whole,
And all of, Vicky has reviewed all of the signatures. They're all good. Grafton County Senior Citizens Council was short a couple. They came back with the necessary extra ones.
Okay.
And I apologize for the erroneous items and then.
Wow. All right, so before we get to other business, the last thing on here is the fall budget.
The full budget again, I apologize, gentlemen, that it is really the purview of the budget committee to do.
Yeah.
The initial approval, and then it's forwarded to the select board for a final signature and review and approval.
So these few things that we're talking about, we'll do, the budget committee will take those up the 11th and 12th.
Right, and then-
Public hearings,
Hearings
We have to.
and then we'll look at the next.
17th, yes.
Right. Any other business?
So good that it was a quick meeting, because I page and a half of the business,
Okay.
but we don't have to go through it all tonight. This is just my notes. So
So, Tom, did you come in for any reason other than you had nothing else to do? or-
No. I met with Dan this morning and Bob.
Yeah.
Dale over on Switch Road,
Yeah,
and we looked at the trees over there.
okay,
I compiled a list. I can give you guys that list. There's probably close to 20 trees that have already been marked a hazard by the power company.
yeah,
So I would reach out to them to see what their schedule is like. Because I know Dan said you guys plan on doing your construction on 2023 at some point.
In theory, that's, see,
Yeah.
the fence are doing the road.
And so I would address that, see what,
Yeah.
and you might be able to get more trees out of them,
Okay.
um,
Well, I know in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, didn't we go to the power company about them and they said that they weren't a problem and they wouldn't do it?
yeah. So they have, like I said, if you go over by there, mostly it's on the right-hand side coming in from Route 4.
Yeah,
You'll see a lot of, they've taken little pieces of ribbon and folded them up and tacked them on the trees.
okay.
And that's what that represents. It's a third-party company that goes around
Oh, all right.
with the power company and so they're addressed a hazard, just who knows when they're gonna get to them.
And two of them are the big pine trees that are lifting the road up.
No,
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 different section.
no.
yeah,
Nice.
So there's, I think I counted like 16 hazard trees that are lifting, or potentially lifting the road up.
Okay,
And then there's gonna be another 15 or better that are marked from the power company.
okay.
So that's all I've got for information.
So we also, one of the other things we did is we looked at the tree in the cemetery
Yes.
on
Sawyer
Hill Road as well.
Yeah.
And we discussed a few different options. And a couple of those options were, I mean, there's the option of taking that whole oak tree down. And there's a maple tree that stands, you call it in the center,
Yeah.
I guess, of the cemetery. That has rotted, the center top of it needs to be removed. I guess we could, there's an option of taking both of those trees completely down, or there are other options that we talked about.
Yeah.
The option of taking that whole oak tree down. It's an involved tree. And, you know, Tom is confident and I'm confident he's qualified to do it. I think realistically, we would have to reach out to, and I think we're going to reach out to a couple crane services to see if they would work with Tom as far as attaching to the tree as Tom cuts it in the tree, so it's not falling to the ground. The problem, you know, with Tommy's expertise in doing this, he explained to me that a lot of times the crane companies aren't interested in doing that because he's cutting the tree, right? But Bob said he might know of a crane service that may be interested in doing that. We're gonna reach out to him. The other option that Tom and I, or we spoke about, and then Tom and I spoke about a little bit more later, was what if we just take in the maple tree? Because for the most part, it doesn't look like it's just a tree that's ready to fall over. I believe that
No, it looks
it's
super
blooming.
healthy. It's super healthy other than the
Yeah,
falling top.
so maybe we take the top of that tree out that's rotted. That brings the job from this big to this and leaves the beautiful maple tree that's probably 150 years old there. Was that?
Leave the oak tree or leave the maple?
Leave the maple
Okay.
tree, just take the top center out, and then the oak tree, one of the options that we have is when you go up there and look, it really. There's certain pieces of that tree that way overhang the cemetery. Maybe there's an option of only taking those pieces off. And simplifying that job as well.
Is that tree dead or is it just?
So the top of it broke at one point,
Right, I knew that.
and now the bottom of it, I'm sure it produced leaves this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an awful looking thing, you know, to have to look at, but, I believe it's pretty hard. And an oak tree is about the hardiest tree you can get around here. What my thought was if you could trim both trees. Take the revenue that you would have spent on taking the tree down completely, and you can put it towards fixing some of the stones. Something along those lines.
The ones that got trashed by the tree, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and,
And
because I mean, I think that. You never know, but I think that oak tree probably helped us all. You know,
there's a chance that that tree could last a good long time. And they don't typically, from what I have seen, living in New Englander and we're talking with Tom. An oak tree isn't something that just snaps off a whole lot. I mean, usually an oak tree is pretty hardy. The other part of it is there may be some funding available because that tree is in a cemetery or those trees are in a cemetery. There may be some funding available that we should try to search for to see if we can get relief with the payment of it. And then, quite honestly, if we get an X amount of dollars. And then the work ends up not being as involved and there is anything left over that can go to the stones. You know, I was up there walking around the cemetery today and it does need some help. And one of the things I would like to discuss with you guys is the fact that the leaves, I mean, have been blown in that cemetery over to the back corner. And they are, without exaggeration, 1.5 feet thick over all of the stones that have fallen. And it's an area as big as the back of this room where we're sitting that is just.
So our crew's blowing back there, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and they're right, like the rest of it is bare,
Yeah.
and that's 1.5 feet thick. And they're over stones that are laying down and everything, and you know, if. I know most of those gravestones are old but if somebody's resting there and it needs to be, that's something we should address. And there was a couple in here. I believe it since you've been on the board, Stephen, but I don't know for sure, and they addressed us about taking care of different gravestones that were going around. I would try to find out who that was. I can't remember what their names were, but I can picture them sitting
Yeah,
there.
it should be in the minutes.
Yeah, and those folks, I think, would,
Yeah, I do know who they are.
yeah, they were doing restoration work in the
But
cemetery.
but they own property on, it's a realty business. They own, rental properties.
They do. Well, so we should be able to find who that
Yeah,
is, and
if not,
I
I got, because they're customers of mine, so I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I got the information at the house.
think they'd be a good resource.
Yeah.
Not only to try to find some funding, but to actually
Yeah.
be able to repair some of the stones.
Well,
the
there
cemetery.
should be maintenance money in the cemetery ones, right?
Yeah.
Right, but there may be grant,
Oh, if it's.
for lack of, there may be some state funding available.
one to reach out to is Anita Watson from Orange. So I believe I don't know if she is or not, but she was in the cemetery committee up there. And when I would do any work for the town of Orange, that's how they would get the money to do it through these grants.
Okay.
And it'd only be a small amount per year, but anything better than nothing, you know?
So the trimming option, Tom, is that, would you still need a crane for that, or? Is
No,
that- okay.
no, and another thing I would definitely look into, that oak tree. That I don't believe that's on town property,
Okay,
the stem of the tree itself. It might be a portion of it, but I think majority of it is on
The homeowner.
adjoining driveway beside it.
Yeah.
Um,
And those are the folks,
Said they complained a lot of times.
yeah, they've come in, that lady has come in a few times to talk to us.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd be on board with it, but it's a good call. We're gonna wanna get
yeah,
something
you wanna make
signed,
sure you know.
get a waiver signed that gives us permission to take.
Any time of the year better than the other to tackle the tree.
Excuse me?
Any time of the year better than another?
No, it wouldn't matter. No, it wouldn't matter on that. And the only other thing I would want before I did anything was just for somebody to go up and take plenty of pictures.
Yeah.
Of the
Right,
way
yeah.
the stones are now, you know.
There's quite a few broken ones.
Right, there's a fair amount of them.
So
So
you
they're
don't-
not just in that one general area
Yeah.
of that tree, they're all over. That's what made me think of how hardy that tree is with the amount of the pile of leaves,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, absolutely.
there was a fair amount there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other business?
thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Dan.
Ellie?
Yeah, I have a question about the sidewalk. As you know, there's a sidewalk that goes from my house down to the cozy corner. And that sidewalk was only plowed. I kind of forget the date, but, I'm gonna write it down, but,
Thank you.
that sidewalk was only plowed to the pizza place and whoever, they quit. And the next, a few days later, I see the town, I think it was the town, do we have a blue Ford tractor?
Yeah.
It was on Canaan Street plowing the whole sidewalk on Canaan Street. And the downtown sidewalk, like along what used to be called Main Street, in front of Massachusetts House, they quit. So they went from Legion Road to just past Martha's house and quit. So you couldn't walk the rest of the sidewalk, there's a big pile of snow. So I guess I don't have a problem if they don't want to plow the sidewalk in front of my house. But I don't understand why the people on Canaan Street get plowed before I do. Or why we only plow half the sidewalk instead of the whole thing.
Why the sidewalk was stopped here is when we was picking up snow and I was running that big loader. As far as you could go with the loader up that sidewalk. Plus the snow was left there so long that it was all ice. So when the highway department had some free time. I took the grader up there and sucked it all into Route 4
Yeah, I saw it. Go back.
and we cleaned it up.
Because our normal tractor broke down, right? one that we
The
used to
one,
vote
the
on.
one, the Kubota is down, yeah.
Right, so Ellie, I
And then we think it's almost all melted, then you come back.
I think we're explaining that to you right now, Ellie. So the answer is, because the tractor that usually is used for that, once they started pushing the snow, the four-wheel drive in the Kubota tractor doesn't work.
Okay. Why not take it?
So the reason Canaan Street was being done, Ellie, because I checked into it. I got your email. I saw your email, all right? And I checked into it. And the reason why they were doing that on Canaan Street is something that I want to address in other business tonight. And it's because the people that are plowing the driveways on Canaan Street plowed snowbanks specifically. So they didn't make just a pass in and leave the windrow. They plowed snow banks. So you would have to walk up over the snowbank. So that's why they went up. And the gentleman that did it is the one sitting right in front of you. That's Ryan. Right? So that's why. So I did check into it to find out why. The Kubota tractor is at town line equipment right now to be repaired.
But the blue one was working.
And that little blue tractor would not get through by the time. So what's happened is they went, the tractor was broke. It ended up waiting, it turned to solid ice. The blue tractor won't go through the solid ice. So then when it softened up enough and it got enough time, Dale went over with the grader.
Grader, if you just do the sidewalk with the grader, because years ago, the state did that sidewalk with the grader, Jimmy Souza did that sidewalk with the grader.
And Dale just did it with the grader.
You're,
And you're
Ellie,
willing
you
to.
just, Ellie, you just said you're gonna buy 2 graders for us?
Yeah.
I heard, thank you.
Well, Okay, there's plenty of stuff. We'll get rid of that blue tractor for a greater holiday. But you'll vote for it. That's different than buying. But Ellie, look. It is nothing to do with not wanting to plow the sidewalk in front of your house.
Or done it all, I mean, that would make sense, but I couldn't understand why you just stopped at the pizza place. Like you figured like nobody else is gonna go
So,
anywhere but the pizza place.
so let me ask you. Do you now understand? Okay,
Now, you have
I don't know where that is.
What's that?
Question on Mason's line.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, actually, yes, and that's why Ryan went back with the blue tractor and cleaned it up.
because. And then, but they didn't plow it, it was a pile.
Right,
On the sidewalk.
that's what I'm saying. So the pile on the sidewalk was the same scenario that was on Canaan Street, which is why the bucket loader on the blue tractor was used. There's, so,
Sidewalk in front of my house, and I was
Yeah.
wondering if some of the homeowners had gone out and shoveled it and just left the pile there, like you said on Canaan Street.
no, but I do think that we need to address the fact that when people are plowing, whether it's on Canaan Street or wherever it is, if you're plowing residential driveways, you can't plow a snowbank on the sidewalk.
Yeah, because someone's of that.
Look, I'm talking to anybody who has a snowplow hanging off their truck. I'm not pointing fingers at any one person. There's about 20 people in this town that plow residential driveways.
There's a guy on Canaan Street, blower.
Mhm.
And so he took the snow from his driveway across the road to the other side.
Right?
And this guy's on the CIP committee.
Well, you talk to him yourself. I'm addressing everybody as a whole. What town administrator?
Right, Hampton.
Right, and he's not here anymore, is he, Ellen?
But he knows about that now, he knows about my neighbors, but my neighbors, what they understood, I didn't have any trouble. And,
No.
um,
Are we good?
and the other guy.
Evidently not.
And, yeah, because I want to put it to bed, because I don't need another email about it. So are we all set? We can only be as consistent as the equipment will allow us to be.
And the weather.
And I'll tell you, the CIP committee, if you've been paying attention to those meetings, and which I know you do pay attention, Ellie, that's one thing I'll say about you, right? But you also have to pay attention when people answer your questions. And one of the answers that I'm gonna tell you right now is it's pretty obvious over the last year, we realized that our equipment is junk. So when it breaks, don't be surprised, and have a little patience with us, because we're not plowing your sidewalk specifically. Well, I will tell you, your email sounded like you specifically had a problem.
Well, we've already answered that question, so let's move on.
Just one last thing on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I will add a short article reminding people not to plow snow both
Please.
into the street and onto the sidewalks
Yeah.
or any other public, I'll call it thoroughfare.
Okay.
That's the.
And-
I think so.
Yes.
Going after these people. You should be telling the cops to go after them.
So Hugh, you came in late, just so you know, the UTV, we have to have a public hearing. Have to accept it. So it's gonna be on the agenda for the next meeting, so you can let them know it'll be. next meeting. You have anything to say?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Any money coming to the town from the legislature?
I am certainly working on it. Yeah, there are a few things that we're looking at that hopefully will be benefiting Canaan directly. I'll present more of that as I come. We're also looking at getting the broadband committee going again and moving forward with that, so.
You weren't here earlier, but I was telling them I had to register for a new payment plan from Dartmouth for being a subcontractor there. And to register, they have to send you a number
Mhm.
on your cell phone. Well, the problem at my house is that I get the email, they send the thing, and by the time I get it, the page has expired.
Right,
So I had to go downtown while my secretary was at the office
yeah,
to relay back. I mean, it's terrible.
We've got to do it. I mean, for kids in school and for people that want to move here to work remote and just for everyday convenience,
Yeah.
we've got to get it going. So I've been in touch with Mike Sampson and he's going to get us all caught up and he knows kind of what's going on with some of that.
What happened with this Hub 66 that was supposedly was?
So my husband,
Deal.
yeah, my husband is, he's in contact with them. He's kind of dealing with it more than I am, but it was supposed to have already started
Yes,
and hasn't,
no,
and they don't have any excuses. So we're also looking into like consolidated communications.
great, that's what I got now.
I know, but you know, there are only so many options because some of them are saying that they can't get to us for like 10 or 15 years,
Yeah.
which, you
That's
know,
what co-op said.
right, so.
Consolidated gave me a quote of $125,000 for high speed internet.
So,
But they would take $1,500 off because I have a business.
well, I mean, in that case,
That's
it's
nice.
hard to pass up that deal. The other thing we're looking into a lot, that there are lots of grants coming out of, you know, the infrastructure bill, that we can hopefully try to get signed up for before the money is gone, so.
Okay.
I will keep you guys posted on all of that, and, I'll be working on the Environment and Agriculture Committee down in Concord, so hoping to help all of our local farmers around here with making sure that, you know, they're getting some tax breaks and whatever we can do for them, so. But more to come on all of that.
Okay, thank you.
So how's it going, Craig?
Good, how are you?
I actually had a couple of things that I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
In reviewing some of the past meetings here, I'm trying to get caught up on stuff that hasn't been addressed yet. And one of the things I think we actually we talked about this last meeting, so it's anyway, the sewer, water and sewer situation. And so it actually says in the minutes, it was suggested that we speak with you about it, because I'm at a loss of actually exactly. So basically, we are not going to be able to take certain sewer system disposals into our,
Oh, that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to pay.
Commercial. Yeah.
So we've got to pump Mascoma because it's on its private system, and then we're gonna have to pay to get rid of that.
Okay,
And then Cardigan Mountain School, which used to be pumped and brought to us, we're gonna lose revenue on that. And then one of the things that was a concern was, what about businesses downtown that actually have apartments
right,
and residences in their business? And how do we separate that sort of thing? So this little debacle that we've got going here, I don't know if that's something that you can kind of look into and see what they're doing on a state level with it.
yeah, absolutely. If you want to email me whatever information you have on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ned, why don't you make sure you send her all that?
And we can have John Coffey
Yeah. all right,
email
have
you some
him.
stuff, because
Absolutely.
I gave a little bit of a mumble jumbled explanation of what we're talking, but John has got a good take on how it just came about and what's going on.
Okay,
And the long and short of it is, there's revenue that we used to take in here from different companies around that would pump sewerage,
mhm,
and we can't accept that anymore. And now what's gonna happen is, instead of not accepting that at our facility, we actually now have to pay to get rid of some of ours as well. So not only did we lose revenue, but we're having to pay.
okay,
So it's not a user-friendly system for a municipality.
yeah, well,
Um,
I'm
so,
definitely happy to look into
all
that,
right,
so,
and it's okay to share your email with John Coffey and
yes.
all of that. He's our water and sewer guy.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually,
Thanks.
Ned, I'll give you the email that I'll be using for that.
Okay, very good.
And then one other thing I wanted to just ask you is, it's my never-ending apparently quest for Goose Pond. And just a reminder that time, there's gotta be a deadline of when they're gonna look at us and say you're too late. So even just find out when that deadline is, maybe, I don't know.
Okay,
And Michael Reese that sits on the planning board with us was involved in that as well. But
right,
I just, and if I know some sort of deadline and I can do some footwork on it too, I'm more than happy to.
What's that for?
For them draining Goose
Oh,
Pond.
yeah.
And if they drain Goose Pond to the amount that they're planning on.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna be in some trouble. And we're gonna be in trouble because we're gonna have people wanting tax
Abatements,
abatements,
yeah.
we're gonna have people not buying properties that are big dollar properties here in town. It's gonna change, it's gonna be a game changer. So if there's anything we can do, you know, then I'm happy to work with you on it and I'll move on.
okay, well, I think that that would be part of, the committee that I'm on, and I'm meeting with them on the 10th, so I can see if there's anything we can do at a state level there.
Awesome, thank you.
yeah.
Cool. Yep.
Any other new business? Other business? Well, if not, it's not our public stuff to do.
Can I nap about a few of them, since this isn't a real long evening, so
Yeah,
You got,
we've
we got 15.
we've got 15 minutes, right?
You have somebody have a question?
Yeah, just clarification on that UTV. We actually should not be able to insure that through Primex or anything, because the town has not taken ownership of that.
We understand that. So, but the fact is that we've forgotten about it, but we got reminded tonight that it has to be a public hearing. So we have to notify it, and then, I mean, it's gonna happen, but it's just gonna have to wait 2 weeks. Yeah.
No, I just want to make sure as far as the insurance purposes and stuff like that is Primex, we cannot actually insure it through Primex until the town takes ownership.
Until
of that.
So it can't get
Just-
used yet and all the
Can't
above,
get used,
right?
can't get trained on, can't any of that.
Yeah.
So I'm just making sure we get that clarification. That's
Okay.
my thought, but I just want to
Yeah.
get clarification for you folks on that.
Um,
Just kind of wish the chief was here tonight.
I passed him on the way down.
He had another, he was trying to be here, but he had another engagement, and he apologized also for getting the thing to you late.
couple of things that I have reviewed that we have not kind of revisited and come to some sort of a resolve on is the speed car.
oh, yeah.
You know, kind of just a small thing, but because it's a small thing, it should be able to be taken care of a little more quickly than it has been.
Can ask Ryan.
All right, yeah, and we'll talk to Ryan about it and whatnot, but that's something. When looking back, you and I had said that we were gonna get together and it's fell off our radar. If you've got parts and pieces for that, I did speak with. John Putnam at Connected Car Audio. He said he's not super familiar with them, but he's willing, if you want to bring it over there, you can try to do some troubleshooting on it. The other thing is, we were talking about doing a meeting house contract review and update. We haven't done that yet, and I think that's something we were talking about, promoting businesses here in town and getting more rental spaces and more use out of that and kind of narrowing that all in. We haven't revisited that. We did just today look at the trees in the cemetery, and that's that. The lock codes security. I bring that up because we had a little, it ended up resolving itself actually, but Ryan called me, Officer Porter recalled, Chief Porter.
Yeah.
No.
Called me, and there was an issue with the clock at the meeting house wasn't gonna be able to be serviced properly for the New Year's, and weren't able to get in there because the lock codes didn't work. So I got with Ned on vacation, got back with Ryan, round and round we go. Ryan drove back and forth and got with the guy, went over there, none of the keys on the key ring worked. But the original code actually worked after all of that. So that hasn't been changed, and it needs to be. So we need to revisit this and update.
You're
and
gonna
see
change
what's
the
going
codes
on.
on the town office too.
Right, so we've got to get after that. It's the transfer station gate. I need to know what's going on with the Enfield garage, Frank over there. Are we on that? I can contact him. I don't mind. I can take some of this off your plate, Ned, you know,
If
I
you'd
don't
like-
mind.
No, if you'd like to, that's fine. I
Alright.
left a message with his wife, and that would have been
Okay.
late a week or two ago, and I haven't heard back from, but it's, yeah, in Twin State.
Okay. Let me,
I can get you his info tomorrow.
okay, please do. Yeah, how about that? If you can make a note just to send me his stuff, I'll see that in the email. That'll prompt me. I'll call him and we'll see about getting that fixed. The other
question.
Yeah, on that gate, I think Twin State garage door come over and said there was a leg on that's missing power.
way back when, right?
Well,
When we all got
this-
together there that day,
this
right?
past fall.
Right, so, but he's got the motherboard on that, from what I understand. So it moved forward from there and then it stalled again. So it was agreed that we were gonna get it fixed. We got with him. He ordered parts and pieces on and on. So now we're revisiting it after that. But
Yeah.
good call, because
Yeah, I
that's when
think
that's when John and I fixed it to a work manual. Right.
Yeah,
So it's been, since then, there's parts and
Right.
pieces that now need to be kind of kicked in the butt and prompted to get in over here.
Yeah.
One of the things that we spoke about, from the ambulance situation that happened recently was we talked about putting together some sort of a post-trip inspection for the ambulances. I don't know, Hugh or,
I'm not talking on it.
gotcha, yeah, I'll talk to Jordan about it then.
That's a
And-
John thing.
It's a John thing, not a Jordan thing?
John is the chief of the
Yeah.
department of the ambulance. He's the chief of the fire department.
All right, so I'll talk to John about it. And I don't think it needs to be anything crazy. But, you know, like, just to bring everybody up to speed on what we're talking, the ambulance, it's not realistic to do a pre-trip inspection. When the thing leaves, you're in a hurry. But it is realistic to do a post-trip inspection when it gets back, which acts as the next pre-trip inspection. Right? So walk around it, touch the lug nuts. Make sure stuff's not falling off, look at the lights. We'll try to avoid having a wheel fall off on it again if we can. So, you know, yeah,
We actually have brand new excuse me,
studs and
studs and other things to go on it, but also the correct
torque wrenches.
torque wrenches.
I saw
for the
that.
Correct rating.
Yeah,
for the
I
machine.
saw that, and I talked to Guy about that. We do have 2 torque wrenches. They were able to get good pricing on them. And one of those torque wrenches is actually staying at Guy's desk.
Just for that.
So, well, that way it doesn't get, because the torque wrench is calibrated.
Yeah,
And the more they get beat up and dropped around, the less accurate they are. So this one's in a case, it's a nice torque wrench and it's staying there so it can be used specifically by our mechanic. And then the fellas have the other one that they can do their checks with and all of that to make sure that they're good to go when they need to. So I will get with John.
also, we've also explained to everyone, all the drivers, and everybody. To have, you know, the process of torquing something on correctly
All
and
right.
checking the torque.
Good,
And that running it in and having the machine, you know, the torque wrench go click, doesn't mean it's correct. You need
Right.
to do a couple of turns with the torque wrench until it clicks, not.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is
okay.
not to say that people were doing it incorrectly before, but
No,
we
but
just need to,
if
we
you don't
double our
explain it,
That's just for the town garage, though. We don't have anything for emergency services.
Guy does all of that, so we do not have a torque wrench for them, but. They shouldn't really need to torque it. Once it's torqued, it should be.
So,
good for-
so in theory, that's, and now that we've got new studs on all of them, so we don't have stretch thread because they haven't been torqued properly and all of that. In theory, once you torque it right the first time, when the thing goes in for a service, you retorque everything then, and it should be good to go. But the post-trip inspection, it's just like we do with a truck. You gotta walk around, you gotta look at things. And you gotta make sure that, you know, your lug studs and basically any movable loose part that's able to loosen on its own. Just put an eye on it, touch it, make sure that it's not falling off.
Right.
So after doing a little research when that happened, that is not uncommon for those.
Yeah,
So I understand that too. I found out that Grafton's has fallen
I
off
lost it
twice.
twice. Hanover has
Yeah.
lost one. 'Cause
Yeah.
They were sitting there taking pictures of an ED and they're like, oh, it
Right.
happened to us up the read.
That's reassuring.
So with that said,
So,
so I think that Stephen might have a point going to what he was saying. So maybe they do need to be torqued more
so
often.
that one thing of once it's torqued, it's good,
Mhm.
throw it out the window.
Right? So maybe that needs to be torqued more often and we need to get it on more of a schedule.
And
So,
So
I
how
don't
do you
know
know
who's-
it's not every other dual vehicle?
I don't know. Good question.
And I don't know who is doing the training on the Torkin, but I haven't got it yet.
You haven't got it yet? Okay, we will get it.
Right? I thought you were doing the training on that. You.
No, because I
thought you weren't speaking on that,
I
actually.
and he still came off.
And now, look, now, I will say that it was the thought of the board that we're not pointing fingers at anybody. I don't think it's a finger pointing session. But it is, someone has to do some due diligence to try to make sure that it doesn't just continually happen. So if we can put something into place to do that, and then if it does happen, well, we can all say, Jesus, we tried the best we can. Right? But if we don't say anything and it just happens again, and then we say, well, we'll go again another round. I mean, that's kind of ignorant. Yeah.
And our ambulance are getting more used now too, so it's their.
Right.
their-
Right, because one of them's a transport, so.
I will check with Guy.
You should be walking around them anyways to make sure the lights and stuff are working.
Right, yeah,
So
so when they
that'd
do
be
that,
part of it.
go a little more in depth.
Flat tire,
And
and the garage door is open.
so, you know, one of the other things that. I wanted to just. Put back in the pipeline here is. We need to think about our administrative assistant position. And revisit that between us.
Yeah,
Fellas.
we will be talking about that in our public.
And then the log cabin / community / town office committee that we were putting together. I think it's time to revisit that. We had some people, we didn't get an overwhelming response, but we did get some. And the further we wait, the further these
Have you
buildings go.
Heard anything from them?
We got 3 people.
We only have three
We didn't
people.
form it yet. We didn't officially form it. That's the thing. So we need to officially form that committee. Give them their task and ship them out.
Did you put that out on the email?
I did, I'll put it out again.
Yeah.
Just give another couple of,
Put like a deadline on it.
yeah, I'm gonna put a.
Well, we did.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
So, right, Scott, so we did, we got together, there was a deadline put on it. We didn't get an overwhelming response, but there's enough people to form a committee.
All right.
And I don't know if we want a select board liaison on that committee. If we do, I'm up for doing it. I know it's piling on, right? But like I told Ned today, I'll get as much done as I can now, because unlike you, I don't plan on being here 15 years. So I'll pile it on, but I don't want to just speak up and take it away if Stephen wants interest in it. But I don't think it's a bad idea to have a contractor's view on it. And I'd be up for doing it. The other thing I would like to talk about the log cabin is we all agree that the roof on the rail trail side of it has failed. It's in poor condition. It's going to be, if it's not right now, I'd be surprised. So is there any way that we can at least put some heavy tarp over it with straps? With some strapping or something to get that roof covered. So, because for the cost of $300 worth of tarps and strapping, it could save us extensive repairs inside.
Did, speaking of that, did the town hall roof get repaired?
It was just a hatch that got overflowed again because nobody cleans it off.
Yeah,
So
Gotcha.
again, it was changing guards of people not knowing what that happens when you get snow build up there.
So I know
Melts,
Chris did it
and
up
it raises
there.
up and it comes in through the hatch. So
So is that on the library or on over your office?
No, it's over at the library.
yeah, library.
Okay, right. Okay, so that leaked last year too?
Yep.
Okay, yep.
All right, so we're about ready. to
We
go.
good?
Yeah.
Who
Okay,
actually-
I
hang on,
get the
who
rest
did
of my
cleaning
list
first?
next week.
who was the what?
Who did the cleaning before?
Repair work was done by Kirsten. A while back.
Usually the highway crew is the one to go up and shovel.
Yeah, cleaning was probably highway or Barry.
And I think it switched with, the changing guards there. So
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we need to go in and non-public. We'll need a motion to do so. Oh, Ellie, what?
Yeah, so I'm having that, you guys told me, apprised me of the situation with the tractors. I think this is pretty important because I don't remember them talking about this in the CIP. Now, the Kubota, is that the tractor that we bought for water and sewer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that was bought with a grant.
Not this one.
Oh, it wasn't? Because we bought one when Dana Hadley was here and we had a water and sewer grant.
Well, the
Okay, but
blue,
It's not on the list of being replaced in the next 6 years. And, so the blue Ford tractor, is that a 1520
Yeah, probably.
for the highway? 'Cause I only see
No,
one
that-
tractor in the highway.
That's the one that was bought with the water and sewer grant, and the grant
Oh,
is all done with, so.
okay, because he's a replacement schedule, so, you know,
Because
stuff, but if you need stuff, you can, well, you can't vote on it if you don't put it in.
Well, probably because theoretically they shouldn't be needing to be replaced if they'd have been serviced properly.
People go.
I think you and I could both go on and on, to be honest with you. Yeah,
But if you need stuff like that, you know, people can't vote for it if you don't put it out there, and I won't vote for it if
Well-
it's in the operating budget, but I will if it's in.
It's the highway department that should be recommending that sort of thing, so. Okay,
Otherwise, I won't.
all right, so we need a motion to go into non-public.
I put a motion to go into non-public, please.
Second that. All in favor? Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. We'll be in touch, Tom, about the trees up there.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, as soon as we find out something about the crane, and I guess, we'll do some discussion and figure out whether we take, which option we're gonna go with it, I guess, because.
And I haven't put together any, prices
Bids or anything.
for those up there, and I tried to rip this off and I destroyed the paper.
Yeah.
That's what's what for, it's everything that I marked, I've done numbers.
And any of
What
those.
the landowners were I knew this, the other ones, questionable. So, this is that we can reach out to the landowners to let them know.
We've got 11 pine.
No, it's the ed cards are the ones that are declared. No,
Yeah, no letter, yes, so that was at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on those, I never put together a price, because I didn't know what they wanted to do.
These are all.
That's all the switch road, and the 11 from Pinkertons, those are the ones.